This is MKBHD's sneaker, the 251, but for 189 bucks, is it worth it? So I decided to buy a pair for myself and find out. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm reviewing the MKBHD M251. So this shoe was officially announced and released on April 25th for a retail price of 189 bucks. And I'm not gonna lie, I am an MKBHD fan, but I did not get sent this shoe. I bought this shoe with my own money to give you guys my own honest thoughts. And again, like I said, I am a fan of MKBHD, but I'm gonna try and give you guys the most unbiased review possible. So I paid for expedited shipping when I bought this shoe to get it in as soon as possible to make sure that I could wear it around non-stop for the last couple days to give you guys my genuine feedback. Now, if you're looking to grab a pair of these, I believe they're available until May 23rd. What they're doing is essentially a pre-order where I believe they had stock in stock when they first released the shoe. That's how I got my pair so quickly. However, I think all of that stock probably has sold out because now on their website it says if you order today, you won't get your pair until like July or August. So I think in a way this shoe is limited because they're essentially doing a pre-order and manufacturing all the pairs that are ordered, but the pre-order is only available until May 23rd. So after that, you can't buy this shoe anymore. Wouldn't be surprised if they release new colorways of this shoe or maybe do a restock or something like that if the shoe is super successful. And judging by the fact that shipping times are now out to like July and August, I'm assuming it is pretty successful. So if you don't know, MKBHD is one of the largest tech YouTubers out there. He's been doing it for years and he's amassed a following of around 16.8 million subscribers at the time of recording this video. And by watching his videos, it's apparent that Marques is a sneakerhead. He wears some of the best Jordan 1s out there. I'm a huge Jordan 1 fan, so of course I'm going to appreciate the Jordan 1s that he wears. But it makes sense that the first product that he releases is a sneaker. But I think this shoe is really interesting because it sort of blurs the lines between hyped sneakers and sneakers that are made for everybody. It's definitely got a more subtle and minimal aesthetic, which I think most people out there will like, non-sneakerheads will like. But he's also a fan of sneakers and he understands sneaker history, so he's included some things inside the sneaker that really do tie it into sneaker history. That said though, sneakerheads have very specific tastes, and usually if a shoe drops and it isn't the specific Jordan that they love, they're not going to buy it. So there is a potential for this shoe not to have that much of a resale value. I don't think resale value really matters, but at the same time, I do think there's a lot of sneakerheads out there who probably won't grab this shoe even if they are fans of MKBHD, just because it's not the latest Jordan 1. And I'm not gonna lie, I've always sort of fallen into that bias. If it's not like a hyped up pair of sneakers, it doesn't catch my attention as much. But when one of my favorite YouTubers drops a sneaker of their own, I get excited about it. In fact, I've actually dropped some sneakers of my own with brands like We Are Underdogs and Planters Peanuts, so it is really cool to me when a creator or a YouTuber branches out into the product category. And speaking of breaking into the product category, and also a shameless plug, I started my own sock brand called Apothecary. We've been around for the last 3 years, and we create a lot of really great socks that come in both essential colorways and also in limited collections. We're actually dropping this limited rose collection next Friday that comes in 4 awesome colorways, and what's crazy is all 4 of these colorways actually match with the MKBHD 251s really well. And I'll be honest with you, as a creator, obviously creating content is something I really love to do, but creating a physical product that allows people to make their lives better, like a really great sock or a really great pair of shoes, is almost even more exciting. And what was really cool to hear Marques say about this shoe is that he actually spent 2+ years designing this shoe. It was designed from scratch. It's not a shoe that he slapped his name onto. This is a from the ground up sneaker, one designed specifically to fit his taste, to fit the way that he runs his business, walking around all day, and he created something that's uniquely him. So without spoiling the rest of the review, even if I didn't like this sneaker, I would say that I appreciate it because it comes from a creator that I respect and I appreciate, and it really is a sneaker that shows off his personality and who he is. But now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about what makes this sneaker great and what makes this sneaker not so great. And the first thing we should talk about is the packaging. Now, as you can see from the top of the box, you've got the Adams logo and the MKBHD brand, which shows that this is in fact a collaboration between MKBHD and Adams. Now, like I said, Marques did design this shoe from the ground up, but because he worked with a brand like Adams, he was able to utilize their manufacturing facilities, he was able to utilize their technology, and obviously it's a co-branded product. The box itself is pretty plain. It comes in this sort of natural cardboard finish. You've got the red interior to match MKBHD's colors, which I thought was pretty cool. And then on one end of the box, you've got the size tag. Now, I grabbed the size 9, which is my true size, and we'll get into fit a little bit later on in the video. And the official colorway of this shoe, or I guess the name and the colorway, is Adams M251 Black and Red. But now let's get into the sneaker itself and the materials that make up the 251. So some cool details about this shoe is that this shoe is 100% vegan and made up of a lot of recycled materials. So starting off around the toe of the sneaker, on the mud guard, you've got this black synthetic leather. And again, the reason they're using synthetic leather is because they want the shoe to be 100% vegan, and you can't use real leather because that's not vegan. So even though personally I prefer real leather sneakers, at the same time I appreciate that they made a decision and stuck to it, and although I don't love synthetic leather overall, I think it was the right choice, especially for them. In the center of the toe, and actually wrapping around a majority of the upper of the shoe, you've got this black recycled mesh fabric, which feels pretty nice. It does crease after wearing it a decent amount, which is pretty much true for most mesh sneakers, but it kind of has this canvas feel, which I think some people might like, some people might not, but it doesn't feel low quality. Continuing up on the shoe, you've got more of that black synthetic leather on the eye stay of the sneaker, and then weaving through the eyelets on the shoe, you've got these really interesting black flat bungee laces. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, up to this point, I would never have thought of putting bungee laces in my shoes because I feel like they're a little, I don't know, it's just not something I would do. With that said though, I actually don't hate them in this shoe. They really make this shoe a unique putting on experience. Like, it becomes almost a slip-on. Basically, I loosened my laces to make it so that they were always kind of in this half open state, and I can just pull the tongue forward and slide my feet in, and I'm good to go. And because they're bungee laces, you can literally just kind of do this with no issue. So it essentially becomes a slip-on, which in a lot of ways I think people will like. And I think that's actually pretty cool because you still get the look of regular laces while having the functionality of being a slip-on. And it's not something I'd want for every pair of shoes that I own, but on this particular pair of shoes, I like it. Underneath the laces and at the top of the tongue, you've got more of this black recycled mesh, and you've also got a white size tag stitched into the front of the tongue, which is a little unique because usually the size tag is on the inside of the shoe. However, they did make it look a little bit more presentable because they added his signature there, and it does give the shoe a bit more of a unique look, like a bit more of a something different. Moving inside the shoe, on the back of the tongue, you've got this red sock liner that comes with these sort of brown stripes. The tongue itself is pretty well padded. I would say that the tongue padding is pretty similar to that of a Jordan 1, however, the material used in the back of the tongue is a bit softer, which I like. And then the rest of the sock liner of the shoe comes in this black, pretty well padded mesh. It actually feels very similar to a Jordan 1 when it comes to the upper of the shoe, and that's something that I think he was really going for. He did say in his video that this shoe was inspired by a pair of Jordan 1s, and when you look at these two shoes side by side, you can definitely see the similarities. Now, as you guys know, huge Jordan 1 fan. 1980s basketball sneakers, whether it's Jordan 1s or Adidas Forums or Top 10s or New Balance 650Rs, are like my favorite sneakers out there because I just love 80s leather basketball sneakers. And while this is not exactly that because it's not really entirely a leather sneaker, I will say that the shape of the silhouette I really like a lot. Moving inside the sneaker, you've got this red insole with the Adams logo on one side and MKBHD's logo on the other side. You've also got the, I guess, shape of someone's foot printed on the front of the insole. And then if you turn the insole around, you'll notice that the insole is made up of this soft green foam, which actually seems to be rubbing a bit on my pair. I wonder if it's because I took it out to film the insole earlier on in the video and I didn't put it back in correctly. I don't know, but just something I thought I should point out. I do have to say though that the insole that they used really contributes to the softness underfoot on this shoe, and I'll get more into comfort later on in the video, but surprisingly, for a shoe that looks like a pair of Jordan 1s, it's way more comfortable than a pair of Jordan 1s. But now let's get into sizing and fit of the Adams MKBHD 251. So this shoe, thankfully, fits pretty much true to size. Like I said earlier on in the video, I grabbed this shoe in my size, a size 9, and it fits me great. And I think if you're grabbing a pair of these, go true to size and you should be totally fine. Now, one detail about this shoe that I must have missed and just didn't even realize until I read some of the details about this shoe on the website, but this shoe features a copper antimicrobial lining, or I guess according to their website, antimicrobial copper lining. And apparently what that's supposed to do is prevent this shoe from forming bacteria, which is how you get stinky sneakers over time. That was disgusting, I don't know why I did that, but it didn't smell, so I guess that's good. And like I said, I have been wearing this shoe pretty much 3 days straight. I've worn this shoe in the rain, I've exercised in this shoe, I've done a light run in this shoe, I didn't do anything crazy. Apparently Marques says that you can skateboard in this shoe. I did a video with Braille, and you guys might have seen in that video that I can't really skateboard, so I didn't really want to try that. But hey, Marques says you can do it, so apparently you can do it. Continuing back in the sneaker, you get to more of this recycled black mesh, which I'm not gonna lie, when I first put the shoe on, I thought it was gonna be really hot. And while it's not like the most breathable shoe in the world, it was surprisingly not as bad as I expected. I would say it's either the same or even a little bit more breathable than a pair of Jordan 1s. Now, obviously it's not gonna be as breathable as like a Flyknit pair of Nike running sneakers or something like that, but it's workable. Like, my foot never overheated in this shoe, which was great. On the medial side of the sneaker, you've got this little NYC tag in red, which I thought was a nice touch. Obviously, this is where MKBHD is based, or I think he's based in New Jersey or something like that, but really cool. It's kind of like what I say. Like, I say I'm based in Philly, but I currently live in New Jersey, so there you go, maybe we have something in common there. But moving towards the heel of the shoe, you've got this black synthetic leather running around the back half of the ankle, and then just below that, you've got this red synthetic leather that acts as essentially a heel counter, and on the lateral side, you've got 251 embroidered into it. Now, if you're not familiar with the significance of the number 251 or 251, that's actually the length of Marques Brownlee's first tech YouTube video. Funny story, actually back in 2007, one of my first YouTube videos, not on this channel right now, was a review of the Xbox 360 Elite. But it's very cringy, but it did get a lot of views. for the time, which is kind of crazy, and it really sparked my love of YouTubing. Then moving around to the back of the heel, you've got this red nylon pull tab with MKBHD's logo, which essentially is these black dots right there at the bottom, and then you've got the Adams logo right there at the top, which is more black dots except in a slightly different formation. Moving down on the shoe, you get to this one-piece molded midsole and outsole construction that apparently is made up of Adams Eternal Foam, which apparently is a proprietary foam technology that they use on some of their sneakers, and I do have to say that underfoot, it actually feels pretty nice. Now, it's not as soft as something like Boost or Nike React or really anything like that, but this is a significantly more comfortable shoe than I ever expected. On the lateral side of the midsole, you've got the Adams logo embossed, which I actually really like, and also looking at this midsole, it's got sort of a very simple Jerry Lorenzo vibe to it, which I also really like. It's definitely not exactly the same, but it reminds me a lot of the Fear of God Nikes, which was a shoe that I really liked, but I never really wore because the shoe was just a little too ridiculous to wear. It's too tall, it didn't fit right. It was a whole big thing, but it looked good, so that was what was important. Then finally moving to the bottom of the sneaker, you've got this really interesting circular traction pattern on the outsole. I've never seen anything like this before. I'm assuming this is Adam's standard traction pattern, and it works fine. I mean, it's pretty grippy. I didn't really play basketball in this or anything. I don't think you're supposed to, but it was grippy enough for everyday wear. But now let's get into the comfort of the Adams MKBHD 251. Now, in Marques's video, he said that this shoe is going to be a very comfortable experience, and I'll be honest, I didn't completely believe it because a lot of people say their shoes are going to be comfortable and then you try them on and you're like, it's fine. And I just actually filmed a video of the top 10 most comfortable sneakers of 2023. Now, I don't think the shoe is going to be on the list because there are some crazy comfortable shoes out there, but it's very comfortable, way more than I expected. So like I mentioned earlier, you've got this foam insole, which actually provides some really nice cushion underneath your foot. And then of course, you've got that Eternal Foam in the midsole, which is surprisingly soft. It's not like that squishy, but it does provide some nice stability and comfort. And then the upper of the shoe actually complements the midsole really nicely because it's very well padded. Again, way more than I expected. There's padding pretty much all the way through the upper, even underneath the toe, which is nice. And it just feels great. I think it'll be better for warmer conditions because, like I said, the shoe is breathable, but not as breathable as something like a Flyknit sneaker or an Ultra Boost or anything like that. It does get the job done though, and this is a shoe that you probably could wear both in the summer and in the winter. Now, in terms of styling, I actually like this sneaker. It's not the most exciting sneaker in the world colorway wise. I mean, it's matte black because MKBHD loves matte black, and then you've got some red, which is the other color in his logo and his other brand color. But what this color blocking does do is really communicate that this is an MKBHD shoe. Obviously, the Jordan 1 in black and red is one of the most iconic sneakers of all time, and you can definitely see the inspiration between the bread ones and this shoe. The bread one is my favorite sneaker of all time. And while for a lot of sneakerheads, I just don't think they'll love this sneaker because again, they're very fickle. They only want one certain thing. But for most people out there, I think this is a great everyday shoe that looks good. It's a very minimal design, which again, I think is a very MKBHD thing. And overall, it's a clean look that's wearable every day and is very easy to match with. But now we get to the real question. Is this shoe worth $189? And yes, that is a little bit on the higher end of sneaker pricing. Obviously, Jordans sort of live up in that range, but more standard sneakers that most people wear are closer to like $120 or even $100. And for $189, I will say, although it is expensive, it's a good shoe. Now, I think whether this shoe is worth it to you really comes down to you and your personal preference. Do you like the way the sneaker looks? Do you want to support MKBHD? Is this something you see yourself wearing on a regular basis? I think in order to decide whether the shoe is worth it for you, you need to answer those questions. But I will say that I think MKBHD did a great job in his first sneaker. It's clean, it's wearable, it's surprisingly comfortable, and it's a shoe that I think a lot of people are gonna like. But hey, at this point, I would love to know your thoughts on the MKBHD 251s and whether you're planning to grab a pair of these, whether you don't like these, whether you already have a pair of these. Let me know all those things in the comment section down below. Once again, if you want to grab a pair of Apothecary socks, I've made sure to leave a link in the description below. We've got that upcoming Rose collection, and also MKBHD, if you're watching this, hit me up. I'll send you a bunch of socks if you need some socks to go with your sneakers. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.